A lot of times when it comes to changes or updates that we hear from the industry, we're getting word of more restrictions coming, especially from the West Coast this way, heading eastward, maybe even from the coasts heading inward.
Well, that's super important because as those changes happen, it's your responsibility to stay up to date on all the things that are going on, the changes. It's not only about being a responsible steward in the industry, but also like keeping yourself safe from liability and things like that. I'm very, very excited about our guest today because he has been probably one of my longest time friends in the pest control industry. Nick Grisafe, our guy from Syngenta.
Love it. I feel like most of everybody that's listening probably knows you. Welcome to the Bug Bux Podcast, a podcast designed to turn you into a bug money millionaire. This episode is brought to you by Bug Bux Plus, the #1 training and education platform designed to help you build and scale your pest control company. I am your host, Eric Bassett, and across the way from me in Vancouver, Washington, in our Bug Bux Plus studio, my co-host, Jake Claus. What's up, dude?
What's up, Eric? What's up, my Bug Buxers?
Not too much, man. Not too much. We have an awesome guest today, and so without further ado, we're going to jump right into that. Before we do, just want to remind everybody listening, the best way to receive new episodes is by subscribing to our show on your preferred podcast platform like Apple, YouTube, Audible, or Spotify. If you love the show, please leave us a rating and a review. Make sure to check out our Facebook group, Bug Bux Plus. That is BUGBUX Plus. We have the owners only group that has over 4,800 other pest control owners waiting to connect with you and share their thoughts. We also have the Bug Bux Pest Pros group for non-owner team members designed to help them develop in their roles. Joining the groups is the best way to connect with us, share your feedback on our show, and have your questions highlighted and discussed here on the podcast. So make sure you find us on Facebook and join one of those groups. Jake, who do we have in the studio with you today?
Okay, dude, I'm very, very excited about our guest today because he has been, I would say, probably one of my longest friends, my longest time friends in the pest control industry. Whether he likes that or not, whether that's amicable or not, we've known this guy for a long time. He's been our rep here at Natura for a long time, and just a dear friend of ours, Nick Grisafe, our guy from Syngenta.
Love it. Nick, how are you, man?
I'm doing great. It's an amazing day.
Yeah,
It is. Sun's shining today.
Yeah, see, every time I come to the Northwest, everyone always says it's always raining and cloudy and dismal. And every time I come, it's like this. And I'm basically am convinced that the only reason that happens is because they don't want more Californians moving here.
That's right. That's right.
How's the weather? Oh, it's bad. You wouldn't like it.
It's terrible. Well,
No.
I think you're bringing the sunny SoCal sunshine with you. That's what it
Seems to
is.
happen every time I come up.
Yeah. All right. Well, you should come up more often.
Nick,
Yeah.
I feel like most of everybody that's listening probably knows you, but they might not know where you spend the majority of your time. Where do you call home?
Well, I live in Southern California in a small community by the name of Yucaipa. I've lived within 40 miles of where I grew up for my entire life. And I do that mainly on the weekends because the rest of the week I'm traveling. I cover the whole western United States, including Alaska and Hawaii.
Wow.
Okay. First of all, other than mosquitoes, what are they dealing with in Alaska?
In Alaska, mosquitoes, cockroaches, bed bugs, mainly, and it's a very short window for the exterior pests.
Okay.
In fact, I find that even though they have mosquitoes, I don't think there's so many that most people don't seem to worry about them. It's kind of, I guess, trying to convince somebody that owns a chicken ranch that has a lot of flies that they need to control flies. I don't
Right.
know. It's just there's that many mosquitoes there, but it's a short period of time.
Okay. All right. All
In
right.
Alaska, do they run into a scenario where obviously they have those really long days? Does that have an impact in the pest control industry for them at all?
I don't know if I should say this, but the couple times that I've been there, I only go to Alaska about every 5 years because there's just not enough business there to go there every year. But there's one customer that I went to, and his technician in the back of his truck, he had like 5 uniforms, all from 5 different companies. And it was like they had a Rentokil, they had a Terminex, they had an Ecolab. It's like, well, what's going on here? Well, we get subcontracted by a lot of these companies because no one can afford to have a branch here. So
Right.
depending on the day, one day I might be wearing a Rentokil uniform, and the next day I go in and I'm wearing a Orkin uniform because the account actually changed ownership. So it's the
In the
same
5
guy,
years.
but with a different uniform every time.
How would you like to cancel service from one pest control company, switch to another, and have the same exact guy show up?
The same guy shows up.
I think it's exactly because of its being in a national account, right? That's why.
You'd see a billboard in Anchorage with this guy's face on it. Bob Davis, the pest control guy of Alaska.
Yeah. His
Technician.
uniform,
What
you
company
could
you work
have
for?
it,
No,
the
it
same
doesn't
guy
matter.
with the uniform just changing.
Yeah, right.
Man,
Oh man,
that is
that's
crazy.
crazy. Yeah, I didn't know that. Yeah, it's one of those places where it's like Siberia or like northern Canada. I mean, do they even have pest control in Canada? I mean, it's all
Yes.
ice up there, right?
No, they have pest control in Canada. I had a cousin that worked at the South Pole at a research station. They had German cockroaches at the South Pole. For
No.
the same reason. Because
Humans
as everything
transport
gets
them.
shipped around, that's how the pests get there. So
Just no
of course
escape.
they have the
Wow.
same pests that are interior pests, right?
Wow,
So
Dang.
that's wild. I didn't know that you could go to Antarctica.
as a research person, you can.
Okay, right.
He worked in a lab there.
Okay.
I don't remember what
see
exactly
that-
type of research he did.
Do you see the ancient alien airports and that
Yeah.
kind of stuff under the ice?
That's where all the contrails originate.
That's right.
Oh,
Yeah.
we can't get started on this. It's going to chew up all of our time.
Right. Nick and I were talking conspiracy theories over lunch, and it was fun.
You got it out of your system just enough.
We got it out of our
waste the
system.
whole podcast.
Yeah.
episode on
We
it.
can continue on.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Well, I've got a bio for Nick. Should
Let's
I read
do
it
it.
so everybody can know how awesome our guy Nick is?
100%. Let's do it.
Okay. All right. Try to stay humble, Nick.
I am.
All right. Okay.
I'll quit smiling.
All right, here we go. Nick Grisafe has worked in related fields in the pest control industry for over 28 years. Nick also worked in the plant nursery industry for 9 years prior to entering the pest control business. Nick holds many licenses and certifications, including a pest control advisor's license, qualified applicator's license, and a branch 2 and 3 field rep license, because you're in California.
Because that's a California license, right?
Yep. Nick is a California certified nurseryman and is also a certified arborist and a board certified entomologist. Are we making a list here? We should keep bullet points. Nick also previously held a California landscape contractor license. Whew. Hold on, let me catch my breath here. Nick is a graduate of Cal Poly Pomona with a BS degree in ornamental horticulture and a minor in irrigation design, and he holds an MBA from the University of Phoenix. Nick is a lifestyle farmer raising chickens, honeybees, 2 dogs, along with over 40 different varieties of fruit and nut trees, which I will also add. Nick turns into he turns those berries and grapes into the world-class Claus family favorite Nick Grisafe grape jelly.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
So this year, there was a game changer in the jelly making business. I bought a rechargeable battery operated pot stirrer. Game changer in the jelly making profession.
Oh, okay. So now you're going to launch this. It's going to be an international
I
debut.
could go into business now, but I don't have time to.
Okay, well, does that mean that your jelly is going to become not so rare that I don't have to pay $1,500 for an auction?
$1,500? You didn't really pay $1,500, did you?
Oh, I don't know. Last year, I think
It was,
like
what was
$1,200.
it? It was at the Hood River
I knew it
Conference.
was over 1,000.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, that's
It was
when-
1,000 and then it was 500 for that maple tree.
So I actually brought up 7 jars of assorted jellies, a jar of honey,
Did you bring in the habanero sauce?
the habanero
Okay,
sauce,
all right.
and my wife, I always get this screwed up, knitted
Okay.
hand pot holders
Oh, sure. Okay.
that are pretty cool looking, and she made a loaf of jalapeno cheese bread.
Really? And that's all in the basket
Yes,
for
that'll
Hood
all be
River.
in the basket.
All right.
So
Yeah.
get your
We're-
wallet out.
Well, you know what? So Jana told me yesterday, because we're making plans for going, right? Getting the hotel room and stuff. And Jana goes, I feel like I should come this year to the Hood River Conference so that you don't
Supervise
so you don't spend too much money on Nick's jellies.
There's no way. Even with Jana there, it's not going to happen. She'll break.
Yeah,
So she
she
gets so
will.
competitive too. She's gonna look around and be like, Jake, put your hand up. Go.
Yeah.
Yes. Buy it.
She's like, don't let Luke Rambo outbid you.
Yeah. Ridiculous.
Yeah. Okay, let me finish Nick's bio here. Nick enjoys the outdoors and is an avid photographer. Nick has a son, Dominic, and has been married for over 36 years to his lovely wife, Laura. Nick lives in the foothills of Southern California in Yucaipa, California.
There you go.
Love it. Okay,
Man.
Nick, I'm going to put you on the spot, more on the spot than you already are. You have so much experience in not only the pest control industry, but just agriculture in general,
Everything related.
right? When you came into pest control with your experience in pest control, what do you feel like is the ugly truth of the pest management industry? Behind the scenes, what's going on that just makes you cringe?
I guess the thing that really makes me cringe is, we've all seen different portrayals of our industry in the movies, and the one that I always forget, the big guy that goes around with the B&G and he sprays stuff that vaporizes and.
Oh, you're
creates
talking
a
about
mist.
Delbert McClintock, arachnophobia?
Arachnophobia.
Yeah.
And as I see that makes me cringe because we're never portrayed as a respectable business or professional in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
And that makes me cringe in the movies. But then in the industry, what bothers me is when I talk to technicians and I'm doing training. I do over 100 trainings a year. And one of my favorite questions that's come up now is, what is IPM? And it's really easy for somebody in the audience to say integrated pest management, but really what makes me cringe is the follow-up question I ask when somebody tells me it's IPM. I say, well, how do you do that? And I can't get an answer.
Mm.
And when I can't get an answer, that just lends itself to the general public's perception of the industry. And I'm on a vendetta. I've offered to give away $100 in some trainings for the person that could give me a basic 5-step IPM definition.
Yeah.
And I haven't found one yet. Sometimes as a group, I can get it out of them, but I would like that to roll off people's tongues as easy as integrated pest management does on how you do it. If I could change that part of the industry, that's what I'd do.
So, so IPM is your big push. I mean, I'm reading it, like looking at your background. It's obvious that your background is so extensive and you have so much knowledge in the industry that a spray and pray approach would just seem abhorrent to you.
I always joke, when I say, how often do you think I spray at my own house? And people say never. And once or twice. I say, no, I spray when my wife complains. And
Obviously.
that's when usually it's about 2 or 3 times a year. So I think quarterly service in most situations is realistic unless you're dealing with an infestation that needs to be under control quickly.
Dealt with quickly.
That's come about. And, that's probably it.
You know what? I bet if we were to ask all of our listeners by show of hands, how many of you actually only spray your own house only when your wife complains? And I think that most of us would be like, yep, that's me.
The cobbler's
Yep.
children with the bad shoes, right?
Right? Exactly. Yeah, the baker's son goes without bread,
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's interesting because I think people understand, like you're saying, they know what IPM is, right? They're like, oh, integrated pest management. And a lot of them probably use a lot of the same philosophies that IPM has, right? When it comes to inspections and understanding conducive conditions and mechanical control and biological control and knowing what products and modes of action. And those things live in the back of their mind and they're probably doing some of those things. I hope they're doing some of those things. They just haven't really connected the dots with IPM and put it into the format that it's designed to be used in, which is sad.
I would agree with you. But I always come back to the thing is, any successful business person needs to be able to communicate effectively.
Yes.
And knowing what IPM stands for and then also being able to provide a definition, it's an inspection, it's an identification. What's a threshold? Developing a battle plan, of at least more than one thing, right? It has to be at 2 or more. And then the last one being able to come back next month or next quarter and say, did what I do last time work? And if it didn't work, am I going to do the same thing? Because if I do the same thing, that's insanity, right? And our industry lends itself so well to practicing insanity. And
Yeah.
if we could, get that through the technician's mind, I know we're all pressed for time when we show up, but you got to look and say, did it work last time? If it didn't, what am I going to do different this time?
You know what? And here's something that we have loved about our relationship. I'm talking about Natura Pest Control's relationship with Nick. Is that we have a representative from one of our chemical suppliers, right? One of our chemical manufacturers that we personally use in our business, and Nick has offered so many times, and we're going to take him up on it because I think that it'd be super helpful. But Nick knows so much about Syngenta's products and especially demand. Like that's the big. I think half the industry probably uses Demand CS, right, for your general pest application, and Nick has said, "Hey, just let me know, and I'll come up there." Maybe I'm not. Should I cover the mic and not pitch this so that you're not like on flights every day? But Nick has said, I think it's because Natura Pest Control is awesome. We're one of his favorite clients, so that's why Nick's offering this to us. But he said, you know what? I'll come up and I'll do a whole thing. Like I'll test the water that you're using. I'll test your application methods. We'll look at your sprayers, like all this stuff to help us make sure that we're providing the most effective application possible.
So what we have is a class that we put on for customers that are using our sprayable materials. It's called the Application Academy. And basically we teach technicians how to calibrate. The analogy I always say in our industry is if you're going to paint a room and you go down to the hardware store, probably a lot of us would just say, I think a gallon will do it, and I'll just buy a gallon. And if I need more, I'll just go back. But that callback is the most expensive product you can use, right?
Yep.
So we don't want callbacks or reservices. And so in order to prevent that reservice, you need to make an effective application. And I'll ask a lot of technicians, well, how much material do you put down on a residence? Actually a regular 60 by 100 lot. Well, whatever the label says, So if I'm putting in 0.4, 0.8 ounces of demand per gallon, that's all I need to worry about. I say, well, that means you mixed it right, but a lot of people forget that small section on the label that tells you how many gallons per 1,000 square feet you're supposed to apply that to. So if you put down 2 gallons and you're getting out 0.8 ounces on a property, and you only actually mix up the 2 gallons and you actually put a gallon, how's that going to affect your treatment, right? You're not going to have the residual because you're not putting enough material down. So it comes back to that paint analogy. If you put down, a gallon and you don't see, you can't see our product when it's applied, right? Nobody wants to see a residue. So, you don't know what you've missed and what you haven't missed. And if you haven't measured the area, then you're off to a bad start.
Yeah, and if you don't mix it, if you don't agitate and make sure that it's the suspension. Sorry, those are a couple of hard words combined for me to say. So the suspension, if you don't make sure that the suspension is accurate, then you're not going to be spraying effectively. Jana had eye surgery recently, and we went to the eye doctor for a follow-up appointment, and she was saying, now you're using the medicated drops, right? And Jana said, yeah. She said, do you shake up the bottle? And Jana was like, I think so. And the doctor said, well, if you don't shake it up, you're not getting the medicine. And then I said, well, not until the very end.
Because it's all set at the bottom of the bottle, right?
Yep. And then at the end, it's like, am I getting too much? So, Nick, you did a course for Bug Bux Plus. When was that? Was that November? Did you guys come up? October?
A little while ago, yeah.
November, December.
Yeah, something like that. And you talked about IPM.
I did.
Yeah. If you were to go back and expound on the principles of IPM, and just like you've got 5,000 people listening to this podcast, what would you say?
Well, I go to a lot of meetings in my lifetime. They all kind of blend together. But last year I went to Pest World, and when I was at Pest World, I went to all the classes that I could attend in the time I had allotted. And I listened to a technical director for one of the large companies. And along with IPM, when you look at what technicians typically ask you, they'll bring something back and they'll say, hey, Jake, what is this? And that's what they want to know. But this technical director was saying, we got to ask more than that. The question should be, all right, what is it? But how did it get in, and why is it there in the first place? Right?
The
Because
wawa hawawa.
yeah, that was the term you used when I talked to you
Yeah.
in November.
Yeah.
Say that again.
Wawa hawawa.
And what's that stand for?
So it's the what is it? Why is it there? How did it get in? Where did it come from? And what do we got to do to get rid
You
of
got to
it?
write that down for me so I can start using that.
Oh yeah, I'd love to.
I mean, they can't get IPM right, so how are they going to get it? Whoa, 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 whoa.
Wait. Well, it actually stands for whoa. Hold on. Wait, what?
We're going to take a quick moment to highlight one of the premier sponsors of the Bug Bux Plus platform. Are you running a pest control business and worried about missing sales opportunities? Let's talk about Same Day AI, the game-changing virtual sales agent designed specifically for the pest control industry. This innovative tool uses advanced artificial intelligence to ensure no potential customer slips through the cracks. What's really impressive about Same Day AI is how it integrates seamlessly with field routes and other top CRMs. It doesn't just quote, it schedules new customers directly onto your routes, optimizing your workload without missing a beat. I've seen it in action, and it is truly a sight to behold. The efficiency is incredible. Bookings go up and stress goes down. For any pest control business looking to enhance their sales strategy and boost customer engagement, Same Day AI is your answer. Transform your approach and elevate your service with the efficiency that only AI can provide. Trust me, you'll see the difference. Visit GoSameDay.com to learn more and start revolutionizing your business today. We're going to take a quick moment to highlight one of the premier sponsors of the Bug Bux Plus platform. Are you a pest control operator that's paying for inbound leads for services that you don't offer or are outside your service area? How would you like to be able to get paid for referring those leads to other companies, all while getting high-quality referrals in return? If you're getting calls for jobs you can't take on, Baton has you covered. With Baton, you can easily refer those callers to other trusted companies and get paid for it. It's super simple. Just create your profile to show what services you offer and where, then start referring leads to more than 500 of Baton's vetted partners, all while getting exclusive, high-converting leads referred back to you in return. Every referral you submit not only gets you paid, but also increases your chances of getting referrals from other companies. And don't worry, every Baton partner pledges not to steal or poach your existing customers in need of other services that you don't provide. With Baton handling the transaction, you can know that customers you refer are in good hands. For Bug Bux Plus subscribers, there are no onboarding or membership fees. Plus, you can get up to $400 in free referral credits just for being a subscriber to the Bug Bux Plus platform. Give referrals, and get paid. Join Baton today. Go to bugbuxplus.com/Baton to get started. Now back to the Bug Bux Podcast.
Yeah.
So Nick, if you have somebody that reaches out to you and they're having issues with the product, right? Obviously, probably a Syngenta product, or really any product if they're asking you for input. Where do you start if they're having problems? What are the first 3 questions you're going to ask that PCO about the issue that's coming up with their inability to take care of a pest?
Well, the first thing I would ask them is, what's your target pest? Because you'd be surprised when some people think they're going to control a pest using a product that's not labeled for that pest. Or that, perfect example would be Advion WDG for spiders. It's not there, right? It's a great product for ants and roaches and a lot of other pests. But if you're going after spiders, we only have one class of chemistry that really works well in spiders, and that's pyrethroids. And the premium product that's most affordable is Demand CS, because it's the micro cap that we have has never been patented. That technology is just amazing. And there's a lot of generics that are out there, and people think, oh, Lambda's Lambda, it's not going to make a difference. But no, that unpatented microcap, the reason we didn't patent it is because we didn't want a patent to expire and have somebody able to duplicate all our hard work. And all those microcaps coming in from the ag side that the generics are using were designed to basically just maintain their integrity until they dried, because they're trying to control the pest on the crop. with Demand, our microcap is designed to pop over 60 to 90 days. The small capsules
Going first.
popping first, middle size, and the largest ones. So that's pretty much what I say.
I did not know that about the ag,
Yeah.
the microcaps in ag.
I won't mention other products, but there's a lot of people. A technician will say, "Wow, that stuff just is amazing." It gives an amazing knockdown because all those caps pop and dry and pop, and they're immediately killing. But why are we spraying a microcap in our industry? For that residual, because a lot of us are doing 60 to 90 day treatment intervals, and if all your capsules pop, you might as well be spraying the cheapest thing out there that only lasts 28 days.
Yep. Well, I remember, Eric, do you remember these Demand CS pamphlets?
Oh,
that we
100%.
had
With the
when we were
mosquito,
salesmen?
with the mosquito and the little cap on its tarsal claw, the little
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, you know what? When I was selling door to door over a decade ago, I actually carried that Demand CS pamphlet in my
microcap.
clipboard. And people say, well, why? How's it going to work? And I would actually show them. You see, this is a mosquito's leg. See, these are the hairs on a mosquito's leg. This is the microcaps stuck in the hairs on a mosquito's leg.
It only takes one to kill a mosquito. One microcap.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That was a big selling point for me back in the day.
It still works today.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and it's awesome that Demand CS has been around for so long because it's obviously a tried and proven reliable product. I've treated my own house with Demand CS many times. And I remember making a switch, and I won't name names here, but it was a pretty popular product at the time that was really designed to go after spiders and arachnids.
I can actually see Nick's blood pressure rising.
Nick's
as
like,
you
how
say that."
dare you? It's like me telling Nick, like, listen, there was a time I was
Light, and
unfaithful,
you
super
switch
sorry
back.
about that.
That was
That's
it.
right. That's right.
So I try this thing out, and I'm like, oh, maybe it's really cool, and I apply it, and we'll say that it's a wife quote, right? She says, hey, did you do something different with the treatment? And I'm like, why do you ask? And she's like, well, I'm still seeing a lot of activity, and and it's just not really seeming like it's keeping up the way that it normally does. In the back of my mind, I'm like, oh, I gotta make sure I tell Nick this one of these days, because switching back to Demand CS actually did a lot of improvement when it came to resolving those concerns. So what's funny in our industry is that we have different products that come up, not a lot of different active ingredients, which we'll touch on in just a second, but sometimes stuff comes up and it looks flashy, it looks new. People are excited about it. It has big claims. And I'm not saying that it can't accomplish a lot of those things, but when you look at a product like Demand CS and Syngenta's history in the industry, man, tried and true. Got to stick with something like that. Makes a lot of sense.
The amount of new chemistry coming to market, it's like you go to Pest World every year and there's some new product, right? And what a lot of people in the industry, I think, fail to realize is it may be a new product, but there hasn't been a new chemistry in our industry in 18 years. And the last one was Advion in Doxacarb. So,
Which is also Syngenta.
Which is also Syngenta. So when you look at the whole big picture of the industry, there's new products. And then what I always do is I always look at it and say, they're launching a new product. The first thing I look for, what are the active ingredients?
Right, yeah.
Because now what's happening been happening for several years is they're just taking more than one active ingredient and blending it together and making a new product and calling it something new, and everybody's supposed to get excited about it.
Yeah, like Coke, right? You've got Coke, Diet Coke, Cherry Coke, Vanilla Coke.
Zero.
Coke Zero. It's all the same crap, right? Okay, so can we ask about the new innovation? Is Syngenta? Well, I guess you unveiled it at Pest World, right?
It was launched at Pest World.
Yeah.
Plinazolin is the name.
Plinazolin.
Yes, and you can ask me about it, but I can't give you a whole lot more detail other than to tell you that it is a new chemistry, first new chemistry to come out since Indoxacarb.
Was that like 20 years?
18 years.
Wow.
So we'll probably see the first product coming out in 2026.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Super excited because, if you guys have brought to market things like Advion and Demand CS, having a new active ingredient, especially from you guys, is something that we're really super excited about. So,
well, in our industry, there's really only two companies left that bring new chemistry. And that's because everybody, just like in the pest control world, the investment bankers are coming in and buying this company and that company. And that's the same thing's happening in the manufacturer world. So with the conditions right now, there's really only two basic manufacturers that spend any money developing new chemistries. And the reason for that is it's a big lift. It's $300 million to create a new chemistry. And you may start out, we have labs in our Basel, Switzerland office, and basically they're just screening for the probabilities of a product being effective on ants and termites and flies and roaches. And then they might take a few of those into a greenhouse situation and test them further. And then of all those, then, we might get one or we may get none after spending that money that we can actually bring to market. And Plinazolin will be that first new product in 18 years.
Yeah, I can't wait until we have, can I say her name? Lisa Epler?
Yeah.
I can't wait. If you think Nick is cool, just wait until you meet Lisa. Man, Lisa's awesome. She's a Swiss. What's
German.
She? German?
She's German.
Is there a
Yes.
difference?
Yeah, well.
Oh,
I
don't
guess.
ask her that question.
Yeah. 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 But, we.
We have to ask her that question now.
Yeah. But she spent some time doing all that stuff. Like, she's a scientist. And
she was basically involved with Plinazolin since it first came out. And she traveled all over the world visiting different sites and testing it on different pests.
Yep.
Because you have to test it in all the different environmental conditions.
Yeah. And I think part of that work involved torturing cockroaches and other things like that. And so,
Yeah.
Oh, she did that part for fun, but
yeah.
added benefit of testing.
Yeah. Then when she went back to work, she.
So Nick,
Yeah.
obviously we've got new active ingredients, new approaches that are coming from Syngenta. You guys are always innovating, which that's what I expect from you guys. A lot of times when it comes to changes or updates that we hear from the industry, we're getting word of more restrictions coming, especially from the West Coast this way, heading eastward, maybe even from the coasts heading inward.
And northward. Thanks a lot. Nick.
What are you hearing in the pipeline? What are you noticing that you want PCOs to be aware of?
Well, I would say that Plinazolin is the most will be the first new chemistry you see, but the big thing about Syngenta is there's a lot of other chemistry following it. This has been the best situation to be in since indoxacarb. Indoxacarb was purchased by Syngenta by buying the DuPont pest control line, and I worked at DuPont when all those products were launched. And I tell you, there's nothing more exciting than launching new products and a new active ingredient. So Plinazolin is a Group 30 compound in the IRAC table, and so it's going to be exciting. Not just this one, but there's more to come. So that's one of the benefits of partnering with Syngenta is, again, we're making that investment. And what allows us to make those investments is having the industry support our current product line so that we can spend that $300 million to bring products out for the future. Man. And as far as the regulation goes, I don't see that changing. It just seems like that is the trend in the industry. And the best advice I can give you is, contact me or your local Syngenta territory rep because we keep abreast of all the changes that are affecting our products.
Well, that's super important because as those changes happen, as a PCO, it's your responsibility to stay up to date on all the things that are going on, the changes. Because not only is it because you have to be a responsible steward of the industry, but also there are some states where you've got freaking ag. What are those guys? The ag FBI. Like in California that follow the pest control technicians around. Yeah. They're hiding in the bushes with binoculars, seeing how the technician is applying the product. So, it's not only about being a responsible steward in the industry, but also like keeping yourself safe from liability and things like that.
Now, there's the new law that's affecting the rodenticides in California right now that if you have a violation for using one of the non-registered products. There's really only 2 actives left in California for rodenticides. And if you get caught using one of the non-registered outlawed products, it could be as much as $25,000 per incident.
Ooh,
so
baby.
That's not going to take long for that to really crimp your style.
Yeah.
So
man.
Wow.
That's a nightmare.
So Nick, we've got short time, just a couple more minutes, and I wanted to ask you this question. It's a little bit more off topic, but I know that as a territory manager, you've got probably a list of companies in your mind that are your favorites. Favorite
Oh, I
companies
thought
you've
you were
gone
going
to
to
work
say
with.
that suck. Which is the one that you hate the most?
I could have done this the opposite direction. I'm going to go in the more
It's like,
positive direction.
excuse me.
The top of the list. Nick, what are these companies doing that actually puts them at the top of your list? What makes them the best in your mind?
Well, my favorite customers are the customers that actually look at me as a resource, you know, and I believe that we are a resource for the industry. I've had some customers or non-customers say that, what the heck does a manufacturer rep know? I've worked on all sides of the business. I've worked outside the business in both the contracting world and in the plant pest control world. So my breadth of knowledge is pretty vast, and we do bring a lot to the table as a territory manager, and people that call me and ask me questions. Some people are say, "Oh, I don't. That guy's too busy to answer questions." I return all my calls. If I'm traveling, it may not be the same day, but I'll get back to you. And those are my favorite customers. The customers that actually call and ask me questions, and look to me as a resource.
Yeah, you're usually pretty quick to reply to my texts when I text you.
I would say fastest mode of response is going to be text, followed by email or excuse me, a phone call and then email. Because as I'm traveling, I don't always get all my emails.
Yeah.
But I get text right away, and phone calls. Leave me a message if I don't pick up. I'll call you back.
The one other thing before we cut out, I know for Natura right now is the time every year where we order our oh my gosh, what do you call them? The pack
Master shippers.
master shippers. Yeah. So right now we're doing our master shipper, and if you're using Demand CS, or if you should be using Demand CS, you want to do the master shipper. Can you?
Yeah. So master shippers, Demand wasn't always an agency product, and what's happened with agency product, even the single quart bottles are now agency product priced. So $110 per quart, and meal tax is adding a little bit more in California. But when you look at buying, you can buy a quart for 110, but if you get the master shippers of Demand and you're a larger company that buys enough, you can get your Demand price down to $75 a bottle. That's a huge saving. Plus, earn a rebate. And just buying one master shipper of Demand gets you in the rebate program that runs 12 months of the year. A lot of manufacturers or distributors will run a program that'll be for the month.
Mm-hmm.
Our program, once you're in and qualified, it runs for 12 months. So it starts every October 1st. And, we're currently approaching March. And you have up until the end of February to get in. And if you buy agency products and get in the program, none of those agency products will you have to pay for until June. So it helps you level out your cash flow as well.
Awesome.
Yeah, you don't want to lose money on that
this
deal.
deal.
What did you jinx?
You owe me a soda. Nick, this has been so great. As always, we love to have everybody from Syngenta coming in. So happy that we had you this time around on the podcast. And we're going to have you back on the show, of course. Especially...
No, we'll get Lisa. Maybe next year we'll get Lisa.
Well, maybe. Sorry, Nick. You're not going to
you haven't had Lisa on the show yet. You need Lisa next.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah,
that's going to be awesome.
And once you get Lisa on the show, then you won't have me come back.
No, I'll just be Lisa just over and over.
Nick's old news. Forget about that.
Marshall will be like, "What about me? I want to get back on the show."
See, that's when Nick's just going to start, holding his honey hostage and his jams.
That's
right.
He's
He's like, "Sorry guys, I don't have to tell you, you're not getting
jelly
it."
for you.
That's
but
right.
You gotta have me back on the show.
Well, you know what would be a real win is if we're able to get my guy Chris Gigley on the show. I think that'd be like pulling teeth. So we'll just stick with Lisa.
Yeah, shout out. There we go. Awesome. Well, Nick, again, thank you so much. We'll have you on again soon. And for everybody else that's listening, thank you guys for taking the time to chime in. If you have a coworker, manager, and owner who could benefit from listening to this episode, the best way to say thank you to us is to share this episode with them. If you haven't joined the Facebook groups yet, go find the groups and join. It's Bug Bux Plus. Lots of information and great connections there. If you have a topic you want discussed on the show, drop it in the group. As always, this episode is brought to you by Bug Bux Plus, the #1 training and education platform designed to help you build and scale your pest control company. Visit bugbuxplus.com to sign up and start building today.
Oh, and hit subscribe,
Of course,
obviously.
as always.
Yeah.
Thanks again for listening in. Until next time, keep building those pest control companies.
You're listening to the Bug Bux Podcast, hosted by Eric Bassett and Jake Claus.